Hey neighbors, got a minute? So if you're in and around Wood Forest, you know that we have kicked off our journey through the action-packed story of the Exodus. We find this in the second book of the Old Testament there in the Hebrew Scriptures. Some of you may be familiar with the story because you saw the more recent film, King of Egypt. But obviously the story is packed with a bunch of fun stuff. There's Moses, who's called by God to go and to set the people of God free from Egyptian slavery. There's a burning bush, there's plagues, there's the parting of a Red Sea, there's water from a rock and food from the sky and laws written in stone tablets. There's a lot. And we're going to address all of it on our way through the 40 chapters of this book. Now, we're not going to take 40 weeks this time to go through it. We'll be finished by the end of November, but I want you to jump in. Get you a journal, subscribe to the Daily Wake Up Call from Seedbed, and it's going to be a fun road we walk together. This past week, we talked about chapters 1 and 2, and I'd encourage you to go back and listen to the sermon. But we basically addressed that Moses, his life, his future, the way that he led the work of God, the will of God with the people of God, it almost never happened. So go back and listen to that sermon if you would. This coming Sunday, we're going to talk about his call into this work. Chapter 3 of Exodus, where we find him walking up to that burning bush, and from the burning bush that's not actually on fire or being consumed, rather, we hear the voice of God saying, "Moses, take off your shoes because where you're standing is holy ground." Now, I would strongly recommend not rewinding and freeze framing on my dirty feet, but I would ask you to consider this. As you get ready for worship this coming Sunday, if the ground that Moses was walking on is holy, and God made all the ground, is there any ground that's not holy? I'm not asking that we take off our shoes and walk barefoot everywhere, but might we consider that everywhere we go is holy? That is ground that God has formed, that the people we're meeting are people that God has made, and maybe we could encounter every person and every conversation and every activity that we step into as an act of holiness. We're going to talk a little bit about that this coming Sunday, along with some other things, so I hope that you'll be there. See you at 9 or 11. God bless you. Bye-bye.